Are recording on the OWL, so we can post the meetings to our YouTube channel.
Wow, that's cool. I'm okay.
So excited that you're doing this.
Oh, yes.
So fun.
Yeah.
And you got the true stuff.
Yes, got it.
I'm doing them tough all over. You're doing
Yeah.
them tough.
Yeah, well, and. our process, they'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah, it's the access to the box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really, I'm
And
not
we're so
happy.
back.
It's not open.
And I'm like, I'm never remember it's the last number that. So I'm like, I guess it could be. Unless Kathy remembers it.
What?
The code for the box.
Oh, I never had to deal with the box.
There's nobody back there to open it for us.
So, well, okay, so we won't do. You know, so people here won't get it, won't have it. I just, and I'm having trouble getting it open, and I wish I had it because it's a good PowerPoint that was gonna actually tell me what to say. I put it together today, and it's like, come on, let's.
Are you talking about this back there? with Kathy said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Says I'm connected. What's our problem? Well, luckily I know it.
Yeah, no, I typed it out because I was like, I want to know what to say.
Yeah, so I did it that too, for you,
Yeah.
just in case, and then this stuff, but, yeah, and I can just talk in general about CCBHC. It's fascinating, isn't it? We'll see. Between you and me, I'm like, if you threw that much money at the system right now, it would be better.
I'm like, okay, so if you just raised reimbursement rates, which you haven't done in what, 14 months?
Exactly, right? I mean, for me, it's just like, whatever, you know, but that's okay, that's okay. We'll go with it, but I wish they would be nice enough to throw that at us now.
Were you able to get in yesterday? Did you try?
To get into.
The state was supposed to be having a discussion with providers across the state yesterday at 10 a.m.
Oh,
I tried to get in and it kept saying connecting, so I logged out and I tried again, I couldn't get in. So
I did not. I was in meetings and stuff and didn't have that opportunity. It won't open. So I guess this is, we're not meant to do that today. We'll be fine without it.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world.
I can handle it.
I can talk about it, but it would be nice. I was counting on that as my guide. For conversing so that I didn't say things like I just said. Oh, well, she opened. Is it possible that it moved from me or did it? No, it's not. There's one. Please, one. I'm intrigued by that.
Oh, good deal.
But I'm gonna go ahead and start.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm being a lot to get through. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to the meeting today. We're gonna go ahead and get started and go through this pretty quickly. There's a lot of information to cover today, and then we have our presentation, the Centerstone. So I want to go ahead and welcome you all and introduce myself. I'm Tina Mitchell. I'm the state secretary, and I'm also the community outreach coordinator for Life Spring. And we're going to go through around the room first, and we'll move over to our virtual world. They can hear us, even though we can't see them right now, right, Krista?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody's coming to fix that, y'all, that we will be able to see that. We start here, Kelly, and just move around the room.
I'm Kelly Hans. I am the treasurer for SEAS, and I am the forensic program manager for Thrive and the executive director for Holding Space Recovery Project.
I'm Dylan Baker. I'm the Drug Free Communities Coordinator and Project Director at the Scott County Partnership.
I'm Megan Broughton. I'm the Health and Human Sciences Educator with Purdue Extension.
Sean Hurd, Boston Police Department.
Chris Wade, I'm representing the Kiwanis Club.
Adam Palmer, found out about this last month at a Meet the Candidates event and wanted to come see what it's about and what the future of Scott County and what's going on in the county.
I'm Chris Meyer. I'm the Region 9 Prevention Coordinator for Indiana Regional Prevention System.
Jennifer Moody, I'm the regional director of behavioral health for ASI Community Wellness Group.
Jessica covering kids and family and Scott County Partnership. Brandy Blank, covering kids and families and Scott County Partnership.
Randall Isle, Business Development Manager for Groups Recover Together.
Dalton Baker, Community Care Medical Coordinator with Refresh. Tim and Given Hoots, Regional Manager, NIAP Scottsburg.
Okay.
Patty Christoph at Centerstone.
Bailey Jeffries with Centerstone.
I am Carissa Miller. I am the coordinator for CEAS, the Community Services Director for Stillwater Individual and Family Therapy Services, and I think that's all I'll go into for now. Yeah, I'll run out of breath. Ella, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ella Ray. I'm a senior from Austin High School and I'm Director of Communications and Reporting from Empower.
Thank you, Ella. Candace.
Candace Spalding, counselor, Scottsburg Elementary School.
Anne. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry
There you
about that. I had a phone call.
Uh-oh, it looks like she froze. And we'll come back to you. Heather Long,
Heather Law, Scott County Partnership.
Melinda,
Melinda Lowry, Scott County Partnership, the Drug Free Communities Youth Coordinator over Empower.
Tara,
Kara Oliver, Operation Parent.
Lisa,
Lisa Harold, the Teens Linked to Care Coordinator at Austin High School.
Angie,
Angie Washburn, Senior Health Equity Analyst with Purdue University.
Marco,
Margot Brown with Building Blocks. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist.
Bill,
Phil Stuckey, Executive Director of Thrive.
Camille,
Camille Anderson, Drug Overdose Prevention Outreach Coordinator with the Indiana Department of Health.
everything just shifted around. Dawn,
Hi, I'm Dawn Sanders with the Scott County Partnership with Covering Kids and Families.
Liz,
Liz Stout with Anthem Medicaid. I'm the program administrator.
Usually approve all the minutes by consensus unless anybody has anything to add. Is everybody in agreement with that? Anybody opposed? So Kelly, do you want to go ahead and do the treasurer report?
Yeah, so this is reporting month for April of this year. Our beginning balance as of April 1st was $2,369.85. We did receive our opioid settlement funds, and that was deposited on April 11th in total of $36,800. We had one withdrawal this month, and it was our check for our coordinator pay for $300. That brings our current balance to $38,869.85. Our liabilities for this month, I wrote checks today for our CEAS coordinator pay and $500, and then the opioid settlement coordinator pay for $800. So after that, the balance will be $37,869.85.
All right, great.
and just to clarify, the coordinator pay change of 500. So as of April 1st, the coordinator pay went up to $400, but we didn't have the funds in the account to be able to pay that additional amount. That's why I'm getting $500 for this month, and then next month it'll go back to the 400.
Thank you. And again, we usually do the treasury report approval by consensus. If anybody's opposed. We're gonna go ahead and move on to announcements. Does anybody have anything to announce underneath prevention and education?
We do.
Okay.
We have, well, I guess I can bring those up later.
Yeah, some of those things are in that, the old business. Does anybody have anything to add for prevention or education? Anybody in virtual world? Tressa?
We, at Austin High School, last week, we had a healthy behavior talk. I was actually able to facilitate that and we was able to present that to the whole high school. It was very well received. We had complete attentiveness. So that was awesome when, students that actually signed a petition at this school back, I believe it was earlier last year, wanting to get more education on healthy relationships. And the year prior, we had actually done some surveys and we have a very high number of students in the school that have already suffered some type of abuse, whether it was sexual, emotional, or physical at the hands of someone that they were in a relationship with. So it was wonderful to be able to have an assembly and the kids be so attentive. They're working hard here at Austin High School because, we know that emotions, if we don't get someone to help us through those things that we've been through, the hard times, then a lot of times we do turn to drugs of any sort to try to make that pain go away. So the more we talk about it and break the stigma of it, that, relationships can be bad, but we can survive them and thrive. So the whole thing was not just surviving the abuse, but overcoming the abuse. And so I think that was wonderful. And we hope to do more of that. We shouldn't have waited to the end of the year to have this. We need it really 2 or 3 times a year. So I encourage anybody, I know we're all doing things like this, but let's just keep it up.
Thank you for sharing that one. If there's nothing else underneath prevention and education, we're going to go ahead and move to treatment, intervention, and recovery.
I have a couple of things, Tina. Sorry. First off, Indiana Prevention Insights, Prevention Insights has got some funding to do mental health first aid for I think 10 counties in Indiana, and Scott County is one of those. So the partnership is putting on that youth mental health first aid May 24th and 25th. I will post some flyers in the chat, but we are going to move to a virtual option because I reached out to them. So the partnership is hosting it, but our youth team is not big enough to compose. I think we have to have 20 people signed up to do it. So doing it virtually, they'll pull in some others from around the state that want to participate as well. So we're doing that on those 2 dates from 8:30 to 12:30 each day. And then on the second day from 1:30 to 3:30, then there's going to be a QPR training as well. So obviously free and open to anybody in the community that wants those trainings. And like I said, I'll post the link to the flyers in the chat. And then also with Scott County Night Live, Melinda has graciously been doing that for the last year since we started last June. And then I was kind of the backup person because obviously having kids, we need 2 adults there. We are going to start, I'm going to put out, we need a volunteer pool. Because so we can swap out sometimes. Our partnership staff graciously steps in, but this was something that was kind of created out of the old youth CEASE work group that we had for alternative youth activities. And so we're just needing some community members to kind of step in and fill in on Friday nights. So I'm just trying to collect a pool for anybody that would be interested in. It's 5:30 to 8:30 every Friday night. So that's that.
But you're just needing someone to be on call to fill in here and there, not every Friday night, right, Heather?
Well, I'm hoping to get a list so we can just rotate through people. I mean, obviously I'll still continue on some basis, but I think it's just getting to be a heavy lift to do it every Friday. And Melinda gets paid to do it. It's just one of those things that I've kind of volunteered for the last year to do it every Friday night, on top of all of my other job duties. So when we got the funding to do this through our JDAI grant. And so we have the funding to pay 1 staff, but we have to have 2 adults present. And so I will still participate some, but it's just, like I said, getting to be a heavy lift to do it every single Friday night.
Completely understand. So heading to treatment and intervention and recovery, any announcements underneath those categories?
Kelly has about 15. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I can actually tell you about Turning Point. We actually have opened it up that no one needs an appointment to be assessed to enter the Turning Point Center in Jefferson. It's open 8:30 to 5:30 for people to walk in and be assessed for their long-term care needs. So they took that barrier away. Anything else underneath intervention, prevention, recovery? What about justice and law enforcement? Okay. Thrive?
So our IRAC program, with our IRAC program, we actually got a pretrial officer and they are housed out of the community corrections office. So our IRAC grant pays for half of that worker and the community corrections pays for the other half of that worker. They started working, went through training at the middle of April. So for this is the 3rd week now that we've had that pretrial officer working with us. I think things are going well on that end. With our IRAC team as well, we did help 6 people get out into treatment last month. And we've done, I have my whole report here. We did, I believe, like 33 intakes over last month, and we're still going well. Our groups are still going, everything's going in there. Well, and then for Thrive on the community side of things, starting May 12th, we will be starting an alternate to suicide meeting. So it's a group meeting, and that group will be offered at the Presbyterian Church in the basement. I have flyers sitting up there. If anybody would like to take them back to their organizations with them. And then we have started a new peer-to-peer support group meeting, and that is every Monday from 2 to 3, and that too is at the Presbyterian Church in the basement. So if you would like to take some of those flyers back to your organizations, that would be great. And then on June 22nd is our 2nd annual Summer of Recovery event that Thrive is hosting, and it'll be at Floyd County. It's at the amphitheater. I believe it starts at 5, and I put flyers up there as well for that. And it's a tour. So the tour kicks off on May 30th in Muncie, Indiana, and then it just kind of travels throughout the summer to different places. RCOs put that on. It's a really good time. Last year we had it at Bartholomew County. So if everybody would like to come, amphitheater at Floyd County on June 22nd.
Awesome.
Bill, am I forgetting anything?
You're killing it. Good job, Kelly.
That's all we got. All right.
Any announcements for positive youth experiences?
There's one, Overdose Fatality Review Board has identified a need for supports for LGBTQ plus youth, especially during that period of time following high school. So Scottsburg High School did vote to approve AGSA in the schools just a couple weeks ago, so that will be starting. There's a group of youth also organizing Scott County's first ever Pride event. That's on June the 3rd. Yeah, the 3rd from 11 to 5.
And I apologize, Melinda and Ella, I skipped over Empower. Did you have any announcements?
Yes, no, it's okay. So the Amazing Race scavenger hunt, we had 11 businesses participating, or we have 11 businesses participating. We led Empower Junior meeting yesterday with activities on peer pressure. I unfortunately was not able to attend, so I cannot tell you that much about it, but I'm sure it went well. We are getting ready for the Amazing Shake on Monday and Tuesday next week. A grant from YGC will help fund along with our DFC funds. There are 25 students from Austin Middle School and 95 from Scottsburg Middle School, and they will participate. We could still use some community volunteers from 8:30 to 11:30 or 1 on Monday. If you're able to do that, please contact Melinda or say anything in the chat below. The t-shirt contest entries are in. Voting will take place soon, so we will decide on our new t-shirt that Empower will have. We are making plans for our year celebration on June 1st, and our proposal to present at a workshop at the National Association of Social Workers Conference in Indianapolis in October was accepted. So myself and Mallory McLaughlin, I believe, we're able to are going to speak there. If that all works well. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Ellen.
Melinda, did you have anything to add?
Nope, she did a good job. Thanks.
Okay. Sorry again for skipping over y'all. If there's any other announcements or anything that you wanted to announce that didn't fit underneath those categories.
I do. So Covering Kids and Families is hosting the Get Healthy Scott County meeting next week. So it is next Thursday from 12 to 1 at the Lifelong Learning Center. And for those of you who don't know, we are insurance navigators, so we're going to be talking everything about the Medicaid unwinding. I'm smiling. I'm really not smiling on that. We're seeing a lot of things. So we are going to present on what's supposed to be happening and then what we're actually seeing. So we are providing lunch as well. So if anybody wants to come, just RSVP to myself or to Dawn Sanders, dawn.sanders@scottcountypartnership.org. So a lot of information and free food, so I can't beat that. One thing I did want to touch on really quickly that we're seeing, especially this week, that this is when people could actually start losing coverage May 1st. They are losing coverage. And we have had 2 just this week alone that have lost coverage while in recovery centers. So I have one that we're working on, and I don't know, he was in another recovery center when he got a notice saying documents are due. Now he's in a different recovery center, but did not know this until they came to him and said, your insurance isn't working. So we are being told that Medicaid is not going to backdate. So I don't know. I mean, we're hoping that we can get it resolved in enough time. It's only the 4th. You know what I mean? I'm pushing as soon as I leave here. That's where I'm headed. But we're going to see a lot more of that. I mean, this is the 4th day of the month, and we've seen 2. Luckily, one, which Kelly's not in here, because of the IREX program and us being in the jail, I was able to already have contact with a gentleman who is in a recovery center but was set to lose his coverage. So I was able to get his fixed on Friday prior to him losing the coverage. But this other gentleman called us from the treatment center. They gave him our phone number, and he has lost it. So he had no idea because he was in the process, you know, of trying to get his recovery journey going, and anyway, we're going to see a lot of that. It's really upsetting to me. That's why I'm like all on edge today, but it is, we're going to see a lot of that happening. So please, if you know anybody on Medicaid, anything, urge them to call us. We can check out their information to make sure there's no documents that are due yet. It's all kind of coming as a shock to a lot of people, and it's going to affect a lot of people across the gamut, but this is just one instance that is with people in recovery. So
Thank you, Marianne. I obviously appreciate everything that you're doing to help our community. Any other announcements? Old business?
All right, can everybody hear me okay? I'm trying a new way. So opioid settlement funds, we are pushing everything forward with getting started now that we have the funds for the opioid settlement. We will have Esper in this room July 12th. That will be an all-day training. So that's screening, brief intervention, and referral to treatment. So we're recommending primary care providers, any kind of school providers, anybody that has contact with youth that might be able to do screening and refer to treatment. We're encouraging them to attend this training. It will be free to attend, and you will have continuing education for those that are licensed under behavioral health and human services. They can't do CME credits for those that need those. So that's number one. We will be working on a poverty simulation, so that should be coming soon. We're hoping for June or maybe in the fall. The fall, okay. So we have to order the kit, and whenever the kit comes in, we'll have dates to be able to share for that. Compassion fatigue, we will have a lunch and learn on May the 24th, also in this room from 12 to 2. We're gonna try to get continuing education units for that. This specific training has really been asked for by a lot of first responders. So that would be a really good opportunity for first responders who are dealing with some compassion fatigue, because the last couple of years have been a little bit rough. So that's really kind of targeted mostly for law enforcement, firefighters, probation, community corrections, those kind of goals. And we have contracted with GG Films out of Illinois for the stigma reduction videos. So we'll be working on those, and those should be available within the fall is whenever we're hoping to be able to unveil them. So we'll be filming during the summer, and then they'll have to do magical video editing. But those will be the VR videos. So we will identify a couple different scenarios that kind of impact substance use. So one will be focused on mental health, one will be focused on the LGBTQ plus experience, and one will kind of be focused on trauma, sorry. So we'll kind of be able to have people experience some of the things that have led to substance use and what that looks like. And last thing is we have a form that you can fill out now. So any membership is eligible for those training funds. You'll submit a form online, and I'll send that out later today so that you've got the link. It's just a Google Forms. There's a couple of organizations that can't get to Google Forms, so I can send a PDF copy of that. So you'll fill that out. You'll send an email to me and let me know, and then I'll send it out to the executive committee. We'll review it and get you a decision, hopefully within a week or two. So that will be out there. I know that several of you have been kind of waiting for that. We can pay for trainings for law enforcement, for mental health providers, for peers, really any of you in this room that align with the opioid settlement fund. So most of that is training and better ways to do our jobs. So any questions on that?
I wanted to back up to the compassion fatigue because I want to make sure everybody realizes that I will have Krista send out the registration information, but this room isn't really large and it is a much wanted training. So it will be limited seating, probably the first 40 people. So when you get that information, please click and register for that.
And if we have a need, we can also look at redoing that in the fall as well. Like if we aren't able to get everybody in. Some updates on grants. So we had applied for a couple of different funding streams to begin the Love Notes program, as Lisa was talking about the unhealthy relationship patterns in youth. Love Notes is a curriculum designed to teach healthy relationship skills, and that's pretty all-inclusive about what that means to the individual. So it's a lot of self-exploration and identifying your own personal values and thoughts on relationships. So Purdue, I hope, has graciously given us some seed funding for that program. And so we will be able to get the training going within the next month or so and be able to hopefully start the first iteration of that camp at the end of July. So be looking forward to some flyers about how to get youth registered for that camp. Unfortunately, we did not receive the matching grant from DMHA. I do have a call with DMHA later on this afternoon to be able to get some feedback to adjust applications for future grants. So we'll see what that looks like. And our end of year report was submitted on April the 27th. Not really any word from that, or ICGI is not super fast. We also are waiting on word for our comprehensive community plan approval. So once that is approved by Indiana Criminal Justice Institute, then we'll come back and have the final approval from the county commissioners and then be able to work on grants. So our grants committee will be meeting May the 12th to kind of make a determination on those grant applications. So you should be receiving notifications sometime the 3rd week of May. And then those checks are actually going to be distributed the 1st week of July. So kind of Fair Week, we'll be distributing those funds. So, and the new business, one of the things that the executive committee talked about is kind of with the new logo, we need to rebrand and redo the entire website. So we'll be looking at what that might look like soon. So kind of keep an eye out for updates on what our website changes will be. And then we don't have numbers from DEA Drug Take Back Day, right? Okay. So we had DEA Drug Take Back Day. This time we actually had the event in Austin at the firehouse up there. And we had 20 something people come through, but I can tell you, we filled up 2 of those medium-sized boxes. So sometimes it takes the sheriff's department a couple of weeks to get us those numbers. So since that was just April 21st or 22nd, we don't have the pounds yet, but we'll get those numbers to you soon.
All right, anything else
No,
before we hand the floor over to Centerstone? Whenever you're ready, like, all right.
Do you want me to go first?
You go ahead and go.
I'll go, okay. So, my name is Bailey. I'm a rehab specialist in Centerstone, at Centerstone in Scottsburg. I currently teach life skills, in the office and in the community. I'm gonna kind of inform you of the mental health 101 process that we do and what happens after a client comes in for same day access, which is offered every Tuesday at 8 a.m. So kind of Tuesdays, they can show up at 8 a.m., they can get an intake, and then they get scheduled with me, which happens to be on a Tuesday too. So it's kind of, they get in, they come do the same day access, and then they get scheduled with an appointment with me. When they come in for the appointment, we review the mental health 101 PowerPoint and kind of see what their needs are. Do they need substance use help? Do they need just severe mental illness help? Do they need life skills help? And so we kind of walk through that. I give information about the absence policies and things that Centerstone offers. So we kind of discuss that on a one-to-one basis. Also during the appointment, we review a personal safety plan, PHQ-9 and GAD-7. Then after the appointment, I schedule with me or the following week to start with another recovery coach, a rehab specialist, or a life skills coach. The majority of time spent with the clients is completing life skills and recovering coaching on an individual basis, averaging 3 to 6 hours per week with the client. In the home, in the community, at the office, it's really whatever they prefer. And I can usually tell which one they prefer. This process is similar for Recovery 101 as well. So this kind of gets them in the office, we get them scheduled with someone, and then we can kind of take care of them from there. I also want to inform you of the groups that are available at Centerstone. We have our early recovery groups, which meet on Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to 12 p.m. and Wednesdays and Fridays, 3 to 5 p.m. So that 3 to 5 p.m. is fairly new, but it runs the same way as the morning group does. We do have a new anger management group that is led by myself, which is offered on Tuesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. as well. And then we have an aftercare group. So once they complete the early recovery group, they can go through an aftercare group, which meets on Thursdays from 3:30 to 5. These are people who are in long-term recovery and have completed a program. They can have completed it somewhere else or with us, and they want to stay committed to a group for long-term recovery. So now I kind of want to switch gears. I want to tell you what the child team offers and what services they encounter. So we serve all schools in both districts. Most of our referrals are generated by the school counselor. Parents can talk to their counselors about making a referral, or they can come in the office for a self-referral. We don't really have a walk-in day for children, but we will accommodate a walk-in crisis. At Scott One, we have a contract with them, where the district provides some funds to help provide services for the kids that are uninsured or underinsured. We have a very small amount of grant funds to help out in Scott Two, but those end July 1st. We're working on some more funds for Scott Two. But right now, we're able to serve the clients in Scott Two that have Medicaid. So even if they, we don't have the funds, if they have Medicaid, they can still receive services. Services for private insurance are a little bit more limited. We have some grant funds that we can use for short-term life skills, but in general, kids with private insurance have to come to the office for services, so they can't really be seen in the school. And we only have one therapist that can accept private insurance at this time, which is Lisa Whitaker. So that's kind of the downfall of that. They're working on that diligently, but that's the information that I have at this time. We are offering substance use groups through juvenile probation referrals. This group is a closed group that runs for 12 weeks. The group can also be offered in the schools at the school's request. We did have one session at Austin Middle School. The biggest thing we have going on right now as far as substance use in our teen substance groups, the intern Amy Shearer completed one group at Austin Middle School. There's another group starting in a couple of weeks. They're kind of working on intakes and getting them in services, and they're all referred by juvenile probation. This group includes 8 kids and will be using mindfulness-based substance use treatment materials that we purchased with these materials in the last grant cycle. Also, the hope with our school-based services are that kids are learning positive coping skills, building resilience, and having that social support that's much needed. So they do elementary, middle, and high school as well. So any questions on that? Okay.
Other things to be aware of, out in Lexington, we have the Centerstone Recovery Center for Women. If you have referrals, we can get those individuals in very quickly. So please don't hesitate. It's wonderful to have that nearby. We also have, for men, we have the recovery centers in Bloomington and Richmond. And those are available too. And then we also have transition housing. We've got the houses actually out on Lexington that we reopened out there. And then there's a number of other ones across our area. So those are really important and are becoming more important in the recovery journey for folks. So keep those in mind. We also have Healthy Start, which is a program that is geared towards women who are pregnant, women who think they want to become pregnant, women with infants 18 months or younger. They can be in a ton of other programs and they still get to be in this program. And it has lots of different services to support them. So if you know anyone, family members of yours or friends or clients that you serve, by all means, connect them to us and we'll connect them to that program, the grant program that Scott County happens to be one of the counties that grant lands in. So it's a good thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to shift and talk about CCBHC.
All right.
Okay, I like to stand when I present. Is that all right?
Yeah, you can also, now we can do the.
Yeah, although I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have internet for some reason. I can't get it to work. So I have this really cool little PowerPoint that I put together and it would have blown your mind, I'm sure, because it was so awesome. However, I can't get my system to open. I was able to pull it up to at least use it for talking points. So I apologize you guys for that. But that's okay because PowerPoints can be kind of boring anyway. CCBHC is not boring. It is interesting is what it is. So keep in mind that community mental health centers were created back in the early 60s when Kennedy deinstitutionalized the state hospitals. Medications were doing well enough that people could maybe return to the community, but they were returning to what? There was no support there. So they created CMHCs, community mental health centers, in every county across the United States.
And we've been operating CMHCs now for, well, since 1960s. So a good long time. Throughout all these decades that I've been involved with mental health, about every 10 years, there's a conversation about changing the funding mechanism so that there could be more options for people, more treatment, more access, and then something happens and they back away. This is different this time. The plan is that every community mental health center across the United States will shift over and become a certified community behavioral health clinic. And it could look like semantics, but it's not. It's actually supposed to be a major shift. It's really pretty exciting for those of us that have been in this field for a while, because I really think this one will happen. It's actually happened in so many states already at different stages. And so the federal government has said, this is what we're going to do. And a big piece of the driver here is really access to care and having the options that people need so that they can get their services. So, let me use my little thing, otherwise why did I even make it? So this is the thing. CCBHC is specifically designated clinic that receives flexible funding to expand the scope of mental health and substance use services available in their communities to ensure healthy equity and high quality care for underserved populations. We're not saying that there isn't already great high quality care. The whole concept here is that with flexible funding, you should be able to do what is needed for the client. And right now we can't. LifeSpring, Centerstone, we're all in the same boat. We're fee for service, which means we get paid only to cover the cost of the service that's provided. But we're not getting paid to train Bailey. We're not getting paid for her supervision. We're not getting paid for any administration. We're not getting paid for anything. And there's been no rate increases for the services that are provided there since 2010, when they rearranged it. So inflation's gone up, salaries have gone up, everything else has gone up, but the payment plan has not. And so if you've ever had a friend who's gone to one of the mental health centers for services and they need this, and they're told, well, no, you can't have this. We can help you with this and this and this, but we can't help you with that. The reason they can't help you with that is there's no payment attached to it. There's no fee for service attached to it. And we know that when you're dealing with the whole person, you need to be able to do what the person needs without having to stop and think. Step right, do I step left? If I step right, is it this regulation is going to be a problem? That regulation is going to be a problem. I won't get paid for this. How do we do to keep the doors open? The system has really created some major restrictions. So the cool thing about CCBHC is if it is funded properly, it will go from fee for service to a paid perspective. So who knows what it'll be in Indiana. I think every state's doing it differently, but it would be, let's say, we would get paid a certain amount of money a month for Dylan, and we're going to provide whatever he needs. We're going to be able to wrap around him in a way, and we're not going to have to think twice. Bailey's not going to have to go, well, I can only do this because the regulation said this. Instead, she's going to be able to go, I can do what he needs. He needs this. We're going to work on this. We got this. And it's really going to allow for us to deal with the whole person more effectively. Funding is a big piece of this, though. If the funding doesn't follow, we're right where we are today, which is doing the best we can with what we have to work with. So what they're kind of looking at is the standard definitions across everywhere that raises the bar for service delivery, evidence-based care. We already have that going on everywhere, but they're going to guarantee it. There's lots of quality reporting that's going to be involved. And then the payment system I was just telling you about that is supposed to cover the cost of this. That's the big hit for me. There's also 9 different services that CCBHCs are required to provide. And I'd like you to keep in mind, community mental health centers are moving to CCBHCs, but others can also apply to these CCBHCs. You have to be a nonprofit, or profits can't, but others can. So it's okay to have more than one of these everywhere. It isn't just the mental health centers that will become CCBHCs. Others will do that, but you have to have 9 components. most of which mental health centers already have. But this is on steroids, I think you would say. So there's screening and assessment and diagnosis. You walk in our doors, you walk in LifeSpring's doors, you're gonna get an intake, which is gonna be your assessment to see what it is you need. Patient-centered treatment planning, supposed to be all about you as the patient or client. There'll be outpatient mental health services and substance use services, which we all have already. A big piece of this is crisis. One of the biggest components of this is crisis. Everyone will have to be able to do a mobile crisis team and a diversion center. So 988, how many of you all heard of 988? Has that been drilled into you yet? Okay, 988 allows you to call when you are in crisis and not activate law enforcement. If I'm not feeling good and I'm not doing well, and I know my mental health situation is not great, and I need something, I don't need police. I'm not breaking the law or nothing like that's happening. I just need help. Then 988 is the number we're trying to help train folks to call. Because then that will allow law enforcement to continue to do what they need to be doing instead of them responding to every mental health crisis. But with that, then what is 988 going to do with that? 988 gets a call and they need something local. So the mobile crisis teams will be developed across the state. There'll be hub teams. It's every community cannot support a mobile crisis team. That's 24/7. That's really hard to do. So like there would be a hub with surrounding counties, and we would, here in Scott County, we would know which mobile crisis team is going to be coming because they have to respond within 60 minutes, within an hour, right? And then there'll be diversion centers, and diversion centers will also be in a hub thing because they're really expensive to do. We have one up in Bloomington and we have one that we just opened in Columbus. And what that allows to have happen is police officer is involved with someone with a mental health issue. They know from looking at them and from all their experience of sitting in the emergency room with folks, waiting for them to be assessed and hopefully taken to a stress unit, that this person probably is not a danger to themselves or others. They're just not okay. And so instead of having to take them to the emergency room to be told, no, they don't hit that threshold, send them back out, they can take them to a diversion center. In our case, they're called Stride. Drop them off, takes 5 minutes. They sign something and they can leave them. And then the diversion center will then take care of this individual and also get them back to the county that they want to return to later. Hopefully in that process, maybe they can connect them with treatment services. But it allows law enforcement to get back out on what they need to be doing. It allows mental health folks an opportunity to hopefully connect with someone who's having a tough time. That's open to anyone. They can walk in, family members can take folks, you know, that hospitals refer because it's like, you know, this person doesn't hit the threshold for a stress unit, but they really can't go home. Their mom has said, you are not, this is for adults, you are not coming home. Let's get you over where you can be safe and you can get some support and get help. There are no beds. It's not a overnight thing. It's 23 hours. It's not a shelter. If there's no beds, there's not somebody cooking food, but there's laundry, there's a shower, there's staff there all the time supporting this individual and helping them. There's snacks and that kind of stuff. And if someone is waiting to get somewhere and their 23 hours is up, they can go walk around the block and come back and start the 23 hours again. So it's supposed to be low barrier. So we will have those throughout the state eventually, which will really help with our folks that are in crisis and get them immediately connected. And also I think help family members who are struggling, having a tough time. Peer support is gonna be a huge piece of this, you guys. Peers who have expertise with SGD and peers who have expertise with mental illness. So there'll be both kinds of peers and those that are co-occurring. So it's going to be exciting. There's supposed to be a huge workforce of peers by the time we're done. Psychiatric rehab, that happens, targeted case management, primary screening and monitoring, and then armed forces and veteran services. Those 9 things are going to have to be part of the CCDHC. And over half of those have to be provided by the CCBHC. The others they can contract out for. So there's a lot that's going to be available. Folks ramped up a bunch. So we talked about the financial structure. We talked about the crisis stuff, the integrated health You have to look at the whole person. I don't know if you guys have ever been sick, and when you're sick, your mood isn't great, you don't feel great, you've been sick for a long time, or you've had pain for a long time, you kind of run at either a level of anxiety or a level of depression. We all know there's a connection between the body and our mental health. So we need to treat the whole person. LifeSpring has FQHCs, we have FQHCs, those are qualified, federally qualified health centers to try and help address the whole person. CCBHC will be doing that as well. Criminal justice intersection with this is huge. So across the state, the JRACs have been forming everywhere in every county. There's CIT that's being developed in every county, crisis intervention teams. It's a training, it's a week-long training for law enforcement that really helps them with their approach to someone who's in a mental health crisis, and can help stabilize somebody really quickly. And it's been great where we've had these developed and we've had the trainings. It's been really interesting because I'll hear from clients who will say things like, you know, I had to call the cops the other day, they came, like, you know, this time it was totally different. The experience was totally different. I'm not sure why, but we know why. This individual went through the training and tried some of the possible approaches that they could use and they were able to really help this individual in a different way than they had been in the past. They had different language, they had different perspectives, and so that's a really cool thing that's happening everywhere. And then problem solving courts. We have drug courts, there's gonna be mental health courts opening up everywhere too. So that's gonna be a big component of this. And as I said, then the peers. So where Indiana is right now. Well, Senate Bill 1, I'm just gonna say, this is a good year in that sometimes the state actually takes money away from the mental health system. And this year they didn't take it away. What we needed though was $100 million a year from the state in order for the next 2 years in order to build the infrastructure for the CCBHC that we're required to build in Indiana. And we got 50 million a year. So not exactly what we were looking for at all. And it's not sustained ongoing, so there's that as well, but at least it was something. With the money from DMHA, we think maybe there'll be about 100 million a year combined between that and what DMHA can throw on the table to try and make this shift. It's gonna take a little while. We had applied for a planning grant, we did not get it. So we're applying again for whatever we need to in Indiana. We will be moving to this, but it is a process, so it takes years for this to happen. We might see something in 2027 where we've made that shift and we look like CCBHCs, and maybe a little longer now that we've got the funding issues. Ultimately, it really comes down to funding. If they don't fund this properly, it will not happen properly, and we will be right where we are today. But the big hope is that they do fund it, and that folks who would like services, who would like help, can get in the door. So that when Brandy has a person, and we all have these clients too, where we're not finding out till later that they got dropped. That being dropped doesn't mean a thing, right? Because there's a different payment system that allows everybody to get what they need and to not have barriers. So that's what we're after. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that? Because I know you know all about this.
No, I think you covered everything much nicer than I would have said. So good job.
Wonderful.
Any questions you guys have?
I do have a question for law enforcement. So you're talking about the stride and there's one in Columbus. Can our local law enforcement use that currently?
Yeah, anybody can use that. Yeah. So if they needed to, they could. And I know it's a hike up there, but it's just down from the jail. It's down at the other end of the street from the jail, and drop them and go.
You said Columbus, what was the other one? Flemington.
So right now in Indiana, there are 5 diversion centers and we have 2 of them. Right now, and so, but they're hubs. Every community has a conversation. They're all like, we need one of these, we need one of these, but trying to staff that 24/7 is just really hard. The mobile crisis team up there works during the day right now. We don't have 24/7 yet. We're hoping by the summer we have 24/7. But right now during the day, if somebody needed something, they could call and the crisis team will come out. We've had them come out and do well checks and things like that in other communities. That has also saved law enforcement from having to go and do the well checks. So we do have some response there, but we're still trying to staff that up. But Stride is open and it is, but to that point, if you would like to make a little extra money, just say you can always apply for a PRN position for Lexington or for Stride or for any of our services that are 24/7 that it requires a workforce of folks that will, you know, put a tapestry together and make sure that happens. We all know the workforce issues that we have in every industry right now. And when you consider a 24/7 in this day and age, it's tough to get those staff, so. Yeah, but
Well-
anybody can use that Stride.
Our county commissioners had asked for, I mean, something similar to what it sounds like the Stride program is. But they thought we could do it with $300,000. So I think having some education about what that takes.
That was a 24/7, 365 day, fully staffed.
Yeah, and I think we've got some information that can help with that then. And also, I mean, considering like, where is the hub? Is that kind of gonna be the next hub? It could be, why not?
It should.
But you know, where is that gonna be? And at this point, we can shoot up 65 and get someone connected without any barriers.
I will say there's a lot of information in front of you. Feel free to take that with you. It has all of our recovery centers and all of that on there. So that way you have it in hand. If you can't use it, I'm sure someone else can. So.
And I can grab those also and scan them in, because
great.
whenever I'm sending out that email later on for the training funding, I can just include that as well.
Great, awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions for Kathy or Bailey?
I just thought about another training opportunity, and really this is for those of you that are mental health providers in the room. In my NASW role on May the 15th from 9 to 12:30, we have a mind-body connection training where we will have 4 different types of providers that work in chronic conditions. So you're talking about that whole person approach. So that training is coming up. It's $40 for NASW members and I think 60 for non-members, and it's 3 CEUs. So, yeah, I'm excited for it.
All right. Anything else? All right. When is our next meeting? Our next meeting is June 1st.
Yeah.
I hope to see everyone there, whether in person or virtual.
All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.